Hello, and welcome to your quarterly rambling video. It's been a long time since the last one of these, and it will be a long time till the next one because that's just what's working best for me. But I'm going to be making 3 videos, that many, right now. And if you want, you can just watch one every month and pretend like I make videos kind of regularly. But if you're interested, you should watch them now because I'm going to be talking about my new medication. Because I'm really excited about it. There's not a lot of info about it. You know, it's one of those things kind of like AvPD that I think more people need to know about. So I'm going to be making some informational videos about it. This is part 0. Part 0 of 2, which is to say 0, 1, 2. Because this is the ramble video. This is going to be mostly about me and stuff I'm doing and how that relates to the medication, but not, informational and, not organized at all. The other 2 are going to be more useful. So if you're really interested in the medication, as I talk about it in this video, but you're tired of listening to me ramble meaningless bullshit, then go check one of those videos out. But this one is the rambly one. So let's talk. First thing, look, I have jewelry now. No, it's not a piercing. It is an ear clamp. It's so pretty. Let's see if my camera can kind of focus on it. And yeah, it just slides up around your ear. It's really awesome. I really like it. My mom says it looks girly. My dad seems very angry. And my brother doesn't really want to offer any comment. And that's fine because I love it. So, I also have a cardigan now. My therapist has a lot of awesome cardigans and I'm like, oh my god, I need one of these. So yeah, as you can tell, I feel pretty good right now. Things have been up and down, but overall, I feel really good and I want to talk about that. And a lot of the reason is because of my new medication. So I mentioned in my last video, I was going to try, if I could, a drug called phenelzine, which is a Maui drug. It's quite an old drug. It's one of those drugs that new psychiatrists are kind of taught it's very old and risky to use and has a lot of side effects and can be dangerous and isn't worth it and you shouldn't prescribe it. We're not really going to talk about why it's still legal to prescribe and people still do prescribe it. So a lot of doctors really know nothing about it and it's considered not good. And just let me tell you, it's good. At the same time, it is the medication I've taken that has had by far the most side effects, both in intensity and in quantity. And it is absolutely worth it. I mean, look at me. I'm so happy right now. And it has taken some effort to get there with tuning, with figuring things out, but it is totally worth it. In short, it's the only medication I've ever taken that actually does anything for my anxiety. So I will say, I did ketamine recently and, IV infusions. And that was different. That did affect my anxiety. That made me feel like a completely different person. I was like so confident. And I felt great. But that was while I was on ketamine, which lasted for an hour, during which I was not able to move and could scarcely speak. And then I had a really bad headache afterwards, and there was no lingering effect. And supposedly the main lingering effect of the ketamine treatments is supposed to be that it increases neuroplasticity so that good experiences can more easily replace previous bad experiences in your brain. I found I didn't really get any benefit from that, and I think the reason is probably because when you already have super, super bad social anxiety specifically, what are you going to do to have a good experience to replace bad experiences? You're still super anxious and super stressed out, and it's hard to just go have a good experience and be like, oh, everything's great now. So I feel like ketamine probably not a great option for people with like AvPD. That's not to say it was a horrible experience. but it was very expensive and didn't have any lasting benefit. So phenelzine, on the other hand, to get to the point here, this is the rambling video after all, but phenelzine, I can take it all the time. It helps my anxiety all the time. It's not addictive. I'm not going to need to increase the dose. In fact, I have found that greatly reducing the dose since I started it and determined what dose I thought would be good actually ended up being more beneficial. And I will talk about that more in the other videos and assumedly in this video too. But and so here's the magic. It really, really, really does make me feel less anxious. It does not make me feel like ketamine, like I'm a different person, like I have unimaginable confidence and I can do and say anything I want. Of course, in practice, I couldn't really do or say anything while I was on ketamine, but I still feel anxious. I still feel stressed, and so it's hard to explain exactly what the difference is, but first off, physical symptoms are way better. Propranolol was helping me with that some, but that was the sort of thing that it lasts for 3 hours, and also it does absolutely nothing mentally, which can end up meaning that the physical symptoms eventually hit anyway because your brain is so screwed up and it kind of can't stop all of it. Or at least that was my experience. With phenelzine, physical symptoms are a lot better, but also mental symptoms are very, very different. It helps. I am still anxious. I am still very avoidant. There are still things, it's like, it's stressful to do things, and it's like, if I don't have a really good reason and feel like I get a really fast payoff, it's hard to make myself do them. That's not just gonna magically change because, yeah, I have AvPD. I've been doing that for around a decade, and very intensely for like 8 or 9 years at this point. So yeah, it's not just immediately fixing that, but it does really change things. Like, my thoughts are so much less cyclical on the bad things. My dread leading up to things tends to be more like a normal level of dread. Like, when I'm driving to something, the dread gets really intense. But it's like if I have something scheduled, I'm not sitting there dreading it super badly the entire month beforehand. I'll occasionally think about it and have negative thoughts, but it's like, it's not emotional and physical pain for a month. It's really cool. And I have been scheduling things and trying to do things, and so I can tell you. But yeah, it makes a difference when I'm doing things too. You know, like beforehand, I was trying really hard to like just force myself to just go outside my house, get a little bit of sunlight, check my mail, things like that. And to some extent, I could make it happen, but it was always really unpleasant. And now I can actually walk outside my front door and get some sun, and it's like, oh my God, this feels great. And I don't feel like I'm gonna die if somebody looks at me. I still have the urge to run in my house when somebody sees me, but it's different. Whereas before it was like a force, it was a necessity that my neighbor comes out, the mail truck drives by, okay, time to go inside. You are in the wrong place. You are taking up somebody else's space, you know. I still have those inclinations, predilections, but I don't actually do it. The vast majority of the time now, it's like, okay, there's a mail truck. They deliver mail. You're not in their way. That's okay. Your neighbor is getting in his car. He doesn't need anything from you. He doesn't need you to hide in your house. It's okay. And that seems like, you know, stupid to people who just have a little bit of social anxiety or no social anxiety. And like, what? Okay, great, dude. But wow, man, I mean, if you have super bad AvPD and like you can't stand to go outside your door, it's amazing. And so that's one of the main reasons I feel so much better. I spent the first month or so, once the medication kicked in, not really pushing myself a whole lot exposure-wise, but just feeling better, just feeling like I could function and feeling okay about it. And it's like, this med can have antidepressant effects. I'll talk about that more in a different place, but in my case, it's not really having antidepressant effects explicitly in the same way that something like duloxetine was when it was actually working for me. And I still have depressive episodes and stuff, but overall, I feel so much less depressed and so much more energetic because I think I can say with certainty now, something I talked about a lot in my earlier videos was chicken or egg situation. Am I maybe anxious because I'm depressed? And I was kind of figuring out, no, I just have really bad anxiety, and that's probably the source of a lot of my depression. But is it all of it? It's not all of it, but it is most of it. It's a lot of it. And so, with this actually reducing my anxiety, my depression is a lot better. So, yeah, I have bad days. I have suicidal thoughts sometimes. But in general, I feel so much better, and I have energy to do stuff. And so yeah, I spent the first month just like feeling better and working on personal projects, still not really leaving my house other than just like stepping outside, getting some sun. But that's one thing I just want to mention here while I'm thinking about it is, all those things people have always told you to do to help your anxiety and your depression that never really seem to help. You need more sunlight. You need more exercise. You need to improve your diet. You need to just think mindful thoughts and be logical. If you have AvPD, you know that all of that stuff seemed like complete horseshit. And it was like, I'm really glad that works for you, and it doesn't do anything for me. Um, I can tell you now, with my baseline being improved by this medication, stuff like that does actually help. All of it. Getting sunlight does make me feel better. Getting exercise does make me feel better. Eating better does make me feel better. And to some extent, I'm even able to actually be mindful while in anxiety inducing situations and be like, okay, this isn't as big of a deal. And that's not to say I don't have times where I'm too stressed and I can't handle it anymore. But it's a huge difference, and it makes me feel very sane, both because I can function more normally, but also because the medication lasts about 24-ish hours. I'll talk about that more later in a different video, but the point is, you wake up every day and you're like, oh shit, I am so anxious. What the hell? I need my meds. And then you take your meds and you feel way better. And it's like, yes, I did actually need treatment. I did actually need help. It really helps with the imposter syndrome, because it's like, yeah, this is real. I really have to do special things to deal with it that other people don't have to do. The normal ideas by themselves don't work, but also the normal ideas, just regular everyday self-care stuff, does actually start to work a little bit too, and that's really cool. And it's like, wow, I can understand what's going on now, both that I was right that it wasn't working for me and I did need something else, but also that it does work and people aren't just making it up to fuck with me. I don't know, but it's really cool. So yeah, that's the main rant about phenelzine, and I will get more into the specifics about it in the other two videos. So yeah, I just want to talk about the other things I've been doing kind of as a result of that. And like I said, in general, it's not a lot, because like I was dealing with side effects and I was adjusting my dose of the medication, figuring out if there's any additional medications I needed to be taking with it, which in my case, I've decided I don't. I'm good. But I did have to lower my dose from what I thought was going to be the correct dose in order to get rid of some side effects. But I've also found that the anxiety reducing effect is still where it needs to be. Which is to say, yeah, it's not a cure. It's not a magic bullet. Obviously, if it was, people would probably talk about it a little more. But it is nonetheless by far the most helpful thing I've ever tried for social anxiety. And it also does have side effects that you'll have to deal with. But like I said, without having to take any additional medications I wasn't already taking, I have dealt with them, and they are not completely gone, but they're in a place where I feel happy with them, and the benefit is totally worth it. So I'm going to be talking about that more in the other videos, but now I just want to be talking about what I have been doing other than getting used to the medication and just kind of enjoying myself a little bit and working on my project, which right now I'm doing a game dev project mostly. Working on making a new game. Maybe I'll actually finish one this time, who knows. Um, I did also randomly, it was in December, I think I recorded them, and I'm finally moving towards releasing them now. I recorded some monster sound effects just over the course of 3 days or so. I went crazy and recorded a whole bunch of sound effects for 10 different monsters, and I'm going to be selling it as an asset pack for game developers. Which is cool. I don't know how well it'll do. I don't really care. I enjoyed making it. I feel like I did a pretty good job. And who knows, maybe it'll be something I do more of. But it was fun. So maybe I'll put a link in the description if you want to hear some of the monster sound effects. But yeah, just all using my own voice and then some post-processing stuff. And yeah, it was fun, and I'm pretty happy with the results. I really like monsters. I don't know why. I like making weird noises too. Not gonna do any in this video though. I promise. I'm sorry, my hair is really bothering me. Okay. So, what else have I been doing other than just projects, trying to make actual progress? So I talked about, yeah, just going outside and mail and stuff is easier. I've also been running in my neighborhood. Also, I've been pushing myself more to do errands and surviving them. I had to take my mom's cat to the vet on short notice. Last week, I think, and I did it. And the thing is, like with AvPD, one of the most frustrating things about it is, for a lot of us, it's like the vast majority of things that aren't like long-term things, like a job or something, it's like you can do it, you just really, really don't want to because it's going to be horrible and it's going to make you feel worse about yourself afterwards. And so that's one of the things that's really annoying. It's like, yeah, I can do it, but I can't because it is painful, and not just while it's happening, right? But I felt like I could do it in the sense that, like, I could be okay with it while it was happening, and hopefully I'd be okay with it afterwards. And that's what happened. I took my mom's cat to the vet, and I was okay. And that was really cool. And I'm glad I was able to do that because, and I'll talk about this more, I want to kind of talk about it at the end of the video, but, and we're not at the end yet, oh no. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be both optimistic and realistic and find the best combination for dealing with, the fact that I have personality disorder. And my adulthood is never going to be typical, and I'm pretty okay with that. But there are certain things that it's really important to me to be able to do. Things that are helpful to be able to do for people on short notice that involve societal participation and interacting with people are things that I really want to be able to do so that I can be helpful to the people around me. But I'll talk about that more in a minute. So the point is, other than that, I was talking to my therapist about how some things that still feel especially hard are things that feel just extremely overstimulating, because I don't just have anxiety, I also have some weird sensory processing stuff. And I've talked about sensory processing sensitivity in other videos and how it made me think maybe I was autistic. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what the word for any of it is. The point is, other than social anxiety, I experience really intense anxiety from specific sensory things, like really tight places, really wide open places, lots of different loud sounds that I'm trying to interpret all the meanings of, even though I'm supposed to tune it out like most people do. Bright lights, stuff like that. So, and I've always known that, but with phenolzine, it's been sort of more obvious to me. It's like, even when the social aspects are not really stressing me out that bad, there's those sensory aspects that just break my brain and make me want to turn around and leave. Even if it's not like, if it doesn't feel like panicking, it doesn't feel like fleeing. It's just like, nope, this is the wrong place for me. Get me out. um, and grocery stores are a big source of that. And so we were talking about that a bit, and she's just like, you need to do it, bro. And at the end of the day, that's basically what therapy for anxiety comes down to. It's just about having a therapist that you trust and that's not going to push you to do shit when you're in a bad place. You know, that's been sort of the problem with my other therapist. It's very easy to find a therapist who will encourage you to try exposure. It's much harder to find a therapist who will do it the right way, which is slow and not always steady. You know, some days I just need someone to make me feel better, or someone to accept where I am, or someone to help me figure something out, or just talk to, you know. And some days I need someone to push me because I'm not going to do it myself because I legitimately don't want to. But also, like, I can do it on those days and or at those times, and that's when I need to get a push. And that's why I really like my therapist. She's just really good at finding the balance and knowing where I'm at any given moment. So, you know, she told me I need to go to the grocery store. I'm like, okay, you're right. I need to go to the fucking grocery store. And the thing is, I've been doing pickup orders, and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's great. But there are some flaws with it, because, you know, I have to place it at least 3 hours ahead of time, and there's a minimum order amount, or else you have to pay an additional fee. And yeah, if you're, you know, relatively dysfunctional because of anxiety, you might not have a ton of money to throw around and just be like, I don't care. So yeah, it's important and valuable to be able to just go in the grocery store and get what you need, right? I think everybody knows that, even if it's like, does it matter that much? Is it really worth the stress? But I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I've gone in grocery stores a few times. Like, I have been getting my prescriptions at Publix. I have to go back to Walgreens now because, long story short, but just basically juggling drug prices, it's obnoxious. But anyway, so I'd been going in Publix to get my prescriptions, but the pharmacy is directly to the left of the door, so I beeline past all the checkouts and I don't get into the grocery store proper. And sometimes employees are looking at me like, why are you walking back here, even though I'm totally allowed to be walking back there? And maybe I'm just making that up and they're not looking at me like that. You know how AvPD is. But anyway, I've done that. I did go in Kroger once and buy a single banana, and I consider that an accomplishment. I also went in Kroger once and tried to actually grocery shop and completely failed and panicked. And I talk about that video from sometime, probably last year. This time I went in Kroger and I was like, okay, I got a grocery list. It's not every single thing I want to buy, but it's things that I think are legitimately useful to go in the grocery store for, like fresh produce and things that you're randomly out of. Like, I was out of melatonin, and I need melatonin to go to sleep. Even though I take a different medicine to stay asleep, I need melatonin to help me fall asleep. And I was out, so I needed to go get that. And just some other random stuff. And I was like, all right, light bulbs. I'm never going to remember to order light bulbs on a pickup order from a grocery store. That's just, I'm thinking about food. But I really need light bulbs. These light bulbs right here, most of them have been dead for a long time. I finally changed them. And obviously, I don't know whether or not you can tell a difference in the video, especially because I filmed my last video at the table, probably subconsciously in part because of all the light bulbs being dead. But yeah, there's a lot more brightness in my room, and there were times in my life where that was exactly the opposite of what I wanted. But now that I feel more functional, the light makes me feel better and more functional still. Just one of those things, you know, that people tell you, don't sit in a dark room. And I'm like, but I want to. And I still want to sometimes, but the light does help when you're feeling better and you're trying to function. So, anyway, Point is, I went in Kroger. I got a bunch of random stuff I needed in different places all over the store. But the main point was like the fresh produce, because it's like, okay, I don't eat as much fresh vegetation as I should. Why was that a tongue twister? Because of a variety of reasons, but depression can make it really hard. You'll like buy stuff with the best intention, and then you'll eat some of it, and then there's more of it, and you need to prepare it in a certain amount of time or it spoils, and then you end up eating nothing but peanuts for a week because you're super depressed. And I still sometimes do that even when I'm not feeling super depressed and I'm feeling better in general, because I'm not used to functioning like a normal person. Normal people, and I don't know that it's all of them, but man, you can make life so damn busy for yourself. Like, okay, I'm trying to learn how to function socially and also go do errands that I need to do that kind of tire me out in that way, but don't really count for much. And I need to get exercise and I need to make a meal. And that's really before I like do any work or do anything specific to that day or do anything for fun. The day feels too long and not long enough, as I imagine you've experienced. Often when I was depressed, it was literally just like, the day is too long. Please, please just let me sleep again. But yeah, now I use up my time in 5 seconds and my energy, whether it's mental energy or physical energy, depending on the day and exactly what I'm doing. But I'm worn out, and I still don't always cook. And so sometimes it's like, I have these fresh vegetables and I'm not going to eat them. And I absolutely hate throwing food out. And it's happened sometimes because I just literally cannot make myself prepare it. The great thing about actually being able to go in a grocery store and not having to buy things on a pickup order, especially when I'm trying to do like a pickup order like once a month or something, and I can get fresh vegetables when I need them, when I'm going to eat them, in the amount I'm going to eat them, and I can take my pick. Um, and it's valuable to me. And I did it. And I don't want to go do it every day, but I felt okay about it. And that was really cool. And I'm going to try to keep doing it on occasion to get more used to it and eat more fresh veggies. So yeah, and I've been getting a lot of exercise. I, I made them so my brother got my mom a scale for Christmas, and that sounds very passive aggressive and mean, but she actually needed a scale and asked for a scale. She then forgot she did, and she was offended. But anyway, she did ask for it. Anyway, I decided to weigh myself on the scale she got for Christmas. And of course, Christmas and Thanksgiving, the gauntlet of both a lot of anxiety and a lot of food, and combine those two together, and I was eating a lot of food. And I also weighed myself immediately after a Christmas meal. Anyway, the point is, I weighed way more than I thought I did, partially because I've been weighing myself on my dad's ancient analog scale for a long time, and he also probably damaged it because at this point he doesn't use it because he's too large for it. But at times he was still trying to use it, and it seems like it might have taken a bit of a beating from him stepping on it when it was too much weight. So it does some weird shit. But I was just always kind of coping that it was close enough. I weighed like 15 pounds more than I thought I did at the absolute most. And that made me really mad. And just, really self-conscious and always looking in the mirror and everything. And that served as an influence to both eat a lot less and exercise more. And it was a bit of a toxic way to do it. And I'm not overweight, and I have been, but that was in middle school. And then I grew like half a foot, and I've been pretty okay since then. I was just at the higher end of where I wanted to be. And it's just, one of those things. It's like I need every single confidence booster I can get because I have none. And so, yeah, I want to feel like I look in good shape and attractive to the extent that is possible. So, yeah. But now I'm at a place where I'm a little better about it. I'm eating more sanely and just eating what I need to eat, and trying to not calorie count, because in general, if you really need to lose weight, it's great. You should do that. But if you don't, it can be toxic. And yeah. So I'm trying to do that less because yeah, I know I can eat way too much, but also my phenolzine's been reducing my appetite, and the mirtazapine stopped working for a while for sleep, and then it stopped increasing my appetite, and now it's working again. And now my appetite is kind of normal, I think. And I'm also like, I'm in a better place and I have a lot more willpower. And so it's like, okay, don't be obsessive about it. Just eat normally and don't go crazy. And yeah, I don't know if I've talked about this in the most sensitive way for anyone who deals with like legit eating disorders and stuff. And I'm sorry if I've said anything weird, but I'm just, I'm trying to look at it in the way that's best for me. And I'm at a pretty good place with it now, for the time being at least. So yeah, I'm trying to eat more healthy than I was and not make a carrot cake for dinner and then eat the entire thing within 2 days. But still eat normally. And I've been exercising more regularly. Which, like I said, even though at the end of the day, if you really want to lose weight, you need to eat less. That's the easiest way to have fewer calories building fat. But if you just really want to be healthier, then exercising is great. And it actually makes me feel better now. Whereas before it was like I was forcing myself to do it knowing that I would be in better physical shape and trying to believe it was making me feel better mentally, and it really wasn't. Now it's actually kind of working in conjunction with my meds, you know, helping my baseline. And so I've been doing a pretty good job with exercising, and some combination of exercising and regularity and the various changes in my meds, getting off the duloxetine, starting the phenolzine, reducing the dose. I don't know. My ability to exercise well, like, you know, run fast, for example, has been kind of all over the place, but I'm in a pretty good spot now. And I'm getting back towards my best mile times and stuff. And it's one of those things where it's like I don't actually care about running that much on one hand, but on the other hand, I'm just a perfectionist, and if I do anything, I have to try really hard to do it as well as I can. And to some extent, especially with things that I don't really care about, I can sort of accept that I'm not going to be the best in the world. Which, of course, you're not with anything, and you should get used to that if you can, but it is hard for some of us. And anyway, the thing that really bothers me though is when I get to a certain level at something and then I fall behind that level. Because whenever I set my bar at a certain place, you know, I'm sure you've experienced that, but it's like, then you set yourself that bar and it's like you fall behind it and it just feels awful. We got a lot of sunlight coming in right now and it feels really good, but also the video is going to look kind of weird for at least a second here while the camera figures out what's going on. But yeah, I'm running pretty fast right now. I feel good about it. And I found that a good balance for me is running every other day, and then I try to use my mom's stationary bike on the other days because it uses different muscles and it's still cardio. And I honestly just, I don't like exercise that's not cardio. I honestly don't like exercise that's not running, or I used to really love biking, and I'm pretty sure I would. I don't have a bike right now. So I'm thinking about getting one again sometime soon if I can save up the money. But I like being outdoors and feeling like I'm moving. That's the only thing about exercise that I can really enjoy. So that's what I need to do, you know. And but in any case, things that aren't cardio feel the least like that, and so I have the hardest time. And I've been still doing a little bit of arm workouts and stuff, mostly because, you know, again, it's a confidence thing. I don't want to have super big arms. Like, my brother is fucking enormous because, you know, he, like, deadlifting is a hobby for him, which is great, but I don't like it. And I'm not that kind of guy. I don't really want to look super masculine or anything. So, I don't love the arm workouts, but I do it a little bit just because it's like it does make my chest look better, you know. So yeah, honestly, that's what's so weird about this. I feel like I've done so much because I've been keeping so busy, doing a lot of chores to help my dad and stuff to help my mom, and working on my projects and trying to make social stuff happen, doing errands, going to therapy, trying to eat well, trying to exercise. I feel so busy. I feel like so much is going on. But actually, like when I think about things I've actually done that are kind of different for me, I went in Kroger. I went in Kroger. That's kind of it. But I have things coming up that are kind of crazy. And I almost forgot for the last 36 minutes, which was nice. It was nice to not think about them for a minute because one of them is tonight, and I'm starting to feel the dread a little bit. I'm going to a book club. I'm joining, I don't know if I'm joining. Let's not use words that strong. I'm going to my first meeting at a book club tonight. I read the book a couple weeks ago and I was like, okay, I'm going to try really hard to actually go to the meeting, especially because I didn't love the book. The point is to go to the book club and try to talk to people. So, I'm going. I am going. I have to keep saying it or I'm not going to, but I'm going. So yesterday, day before yesterday, I went to the library where it's going to be. It's not a library I've been to before. It was a drive that sort of freaked me out. And the library is enormous and very imposing. And it's still pretty comfortable inside. They did a pretty good job of making it feel like a library, but it is nonetheless huge. It has 2 floors and elevators and everything. And I was trying to find the room that the book club was going to be in. And my secondary goal was to get a library card because I haven't had one since I was like 6. I did succeed in talking to the guy at the desk and getting a library card. And good thing I, paid a little bit of attention to what I needed beforehand in order to do that because I did need a utility bill to prove that I lived in the county. Or at least I think I did. He asked for it when I told him I had it. But anyway, this is a ramble video, and this is going to be like the worst, most rambly one yet. So I'm sorry, but I guess this is what you signed up for. If you're still watching at this point, you probably don't give a shit. Anyway, I went there. I did manage to get the library card. I did not manage to find the room. And the thing is, stuff there was pretty well labeled, and there were maps and stuff. And I could have asked any of the many employees where it was too. But it was just overwhelming because it was so large and there were so many people to walk past, and at a point I gave up. And I did a pretty good job of looking around. I have to give myself credit in retrospect. But at the time I was extremely depressed that I felt like I'd failed. And I came home and cried and had really bad suicidal thoughts. And I'm smiling and laughing about that because that's how I cope with it. It's not funny. It's pretty fucked up, but that's how it is. And I got over it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna email the person in charge of the book club, and I'm just gonna ask them how to get to the room. And I don't give a shit if they think it's stupid that I can't figure out how to get to the room on my own. And it's a good thing I did, because she's like, actually, we have to do the meetings in a different room now, which is here. So it's a good thing I didn't find the room, or I only would have ended up more stressed out tonight. Life is weird. Living as a socially anxious person that feels like they have to know everything that's going to happen and exactly how to make it happen ahead of time is weird. It doesn't work. That's not how life works. But that's how I try to make it work. So anyway, I'm going to make myself go to the book club tonight. I told my therapist I'm going to try really hard to go to at least 2 meetings. And I have to admit, thinking about forcing myself to go to at least 2 meetings still feels really hard. Because there's a good chance that I'm not going to feel great about it because that's how my brain works. And then still making myself go to at least one more meeting just to give it more than one single chance, even if not more than two single chances, is really hard. I have to do it with something someday. And to that point are my next couple things that are coming up. And to my credit, I have done that before and it hasn't helped. But I'm in a different place now and I need to keep trying things, and especially the same things. And not give up so quickly and make total determinations. Because that's the thing about this. Why am I doing all of this exposure stuff? At the end of the day, because I want to interact with people. Not because I want to go to a book club. I don't. I don't hate books. You know, I'm an author, kind of. And I used to really love reading, and I still kind of do. I'm just very picky. I don't really like adult stuff so much. I tend to prefer like middle grade and young adult stuff, which is weird, I guess, but I don't know. Anyway, the point of that is I don't really care about going to book club. That's not the point. The point is to talk to people, to hopefully feel better about talking to people, but I'm not really counting on that. I'm never really counting on that actually happening. Just talking to strangers, meeting new people, doing group activities, doing things in public. I'm probably never going to feel great about that, but the point is I want to have close relationships. I want to have IRL friends. I have some really awesome online friends. I appreciate you guys, but I really need to have actual in-person friends. And you know, I've been going to therapy twice a week now, and it's been giving me a very good perspective on really how often I need to talk to people that I like in person. And it's at least twice a week, and maybe more than that. And for me, just the way my brain works, ideally the same person or the same people, but if nothing else, people that I really like interacting with. And I'm not going to find those people without leaving my house, no matter how much I want to. You know, the internet is powerful, and I'm not going to say it's totally impossible, but it's very unlikely and it's very difficult. And at the end of the day, what I need to do is go out and meet people the old-fashioned way. And the old-fashioned way is harder than it used to be in the old days, because modern society is weird as hell. And most adults have a really hard time making friends, and most adults are low-grade avoidant about doing stuff like this, where you meet new people, because they're weird. It's like, what we all kind of want, at least a whole lot of us, we don't really want to go to bars, we don't want to go to book clubs, whatever. We want to just talk to people. That's the point. That's why in so many of these book clubs especially, people just don't actually read the book. Like my therapist was talking about, she's been to a bunch of book clubs and she straight up did not even make an attempt to read the book because that wasn't remotely the point, you know? And it's just kind of hilarious and stupid at the same time, because it's like so many people just want to actually socialize with each other, and just the way our society works right now, it's just like that's taboo, just to actually talk to people. You know, you got to have a fucking reason, something important that you're doing and developing yourself as a person. It must at least be a hobby, if not a career, you know? And it's like, as close as it gets to casual interaction is like bars. And even then, it's like, there's an expectation that it's not a hobby exactly, but it's like, it's an activity that you enjoy, drinking, and, you know, feeling a little different in the brain, and if nothing else, kind of taking in a bar atmosphere, you know? And it's the closest thing there really is to just socializing. And it only works for very particular types of people, I think. I mean, it doesn't work for me. I don't drink, and I have super bad anxiety, and it's just like, wouldn't work. But at the end of the day, that's really all a lot of us want, is just to go out and talk to people. And so society is weird, and that's one of those things that's so weird about having AvPD, is like you're pushing yourself to do all these things that even people who don't have super bad anxiety don't really want to go do, and they're kind of avoidant about too in a lot of cases. Some people do like just go doing activities. I'm not trying to say there aren't people like that. I know you guys exist, even if maybe you're not watching this video. But for a lot of people, yeah, it's like, you know, I have my activities I like to do by myself or with my friends or with particular groups, and sometimes I want to get into new activities, but a lot of the time you just kind of want to talk to people, and it's so weird. But that's the point. I'm going to this book club to try to make friends. And really the point I'm getting at there with my rant that started literally 10 minutes ago at this point was that I can go to one book club meeting and it can feel really bad because I don't feel a vibe with any of the people there. And there can be a couple reasons for that. One is that it's the first time you met them and you're supposed to be talking about a book and you're only seeing them for like an hour or something. And so, especially when you're anxious, you might not really have enough time, especially with depending on the number of people there. Maybe too many, maybe too few, and it's awkward. You can't really appreciate people's actual vibe, and you need to see them at least one more time. And the other thing is, there will be different people there the next time. And it depends on the particular activity how different the people will be. But in a lot of activities, yeah, totally different people. And so that's the point. You just have to keep smashing your head into this brick wall until you eventually meet the people you actually want to meet. I was trying to get to a minute ago how about the next things I'm going to be doing are going to force me a little bit more to do things repeatedly. So the next thing I'm going to be starting after the book club is group therapy. And I've been trying to do this forever, to my credit. It is extremely hard to find any groups for anxiety at all. And when I say any groups, I don't just mean therapy groups. As you may recall, if you've been watching this channel, I tried to start my own anxiety support group. And in fact, I did do that. But it wasn't very supportive to me. And I tried to cope that when I was doing it, I was like, the benefit of not having a therapist leading it is that it's just anxious people in the room. And that is a benefit, but it's not necessarily a benefit for the anxious person who ends up really being in charge and really doing a ton of talking. It wasn't a benefit for me. I could do it. I felt kind of confident in my ability to do it. And we did have more than one meeting, but it did not make me feel better. And it wasn't really a way to make friends because one of the people in the group was already my friend. And then, it's going to be kind of the same group of people. And everybody in the group was cool. There were 3 people other than me and my friend. But just not necessarily the type of people that ended up being a great fit for someone I'd want to make friends with, And of course that really wasn't the point, and I wasn't expecting it to be because, I was expecting that to be a consistent group. And as much as it would be awesome, and as much as I do hope it happens because I'm about to start group therapy, it's not the only point. The point is that there are so few anxiety groups, period. And it really sucks, and I think it's a resource that's absolutely very necessary. And when I was reading about phenelzine, I was reading a bunch of research papers. And it's funny because there are quite a few research papers, when you really look for them, that say the best treatment for social anxiety that appears treatment resistant when other things have been tried. The most effective things are phenelzine, which, again, not really talked about at all, as well as group therapy. And my belief on that has fluctuated over time, because therapy has always been weird for me. And I'll try not to rant about that because, God, this video is going to be at least an hour. But the point is, group therapy is not really about the therapy aspect. That was part of the problem I had when I tried DBT, and I was very briefly in the DBT skills group. Because there it was about the therapy. It was about the skills. I didn't find the skills to be useful whatsoever. Your mileage may vary. I hope you do. There's a whole lot of them, And there are some good ideas, and there's really obviously a lot of effort that went into thinking all of that through. And I think it's cool, and I appreciate it, but none of it does anything for me. Sorry. Um, but the point is, when it comes to that skills group, it's somebody talking. It's a teacher talking the whole time, and then a whole bunch of people sitting in Zoom listening. It's not a group. It's only a group in the same way that like your classes at school are a group. Then there are group assignments where you actually interact with the other students, right? But DVT didn't have group assignments, really. It was just straight up. I mean, occasionally you'd practice skills or talk about how the skills work, but you're not actually talking to these people at all. You don't know anything about them, and you're not ever going to get the opportunity to. So that doesn't really count. But other than that, the point is, groups for people who have struggles with anxiety are not about the therapy, in my opinion. It's just about the exposure. But it's the absolute safest way to have that exposure because it's with other anxious people. And having a therapist there can both mean that it takes the burden off any one of the anxious people to lead it, and also the therapist can be very helpful in mediating the conversation. And the thing is, it doesn't really have anything to do with like therapy. It's just that they're a very talented person socially that's not one of the socially anxious people, and it, doesn't have to. When there's awkward silence, they can break it. And my therapist actually enjoys awkward silence and making me sit in it sometimes. But eventually, she will have mercy on me. And she always knows something to say when I'm just sitting there like, I'm dead. I'm dead inside. The point is, my therapy group is with my current therapist. She wasn't doing an anxiety therapy group. It's just about to start. And in large part it happened because I basically I hinted somewhere between hinting and begging her to start one for a while, and we've been working on it, and it is hard to find people. It's hard to find anxious people to do a group, but we got it, and we're doing it, and we're supposed to be starting next Wednesday. Hopefully that will happen. Really soon. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. Maybe make some friends. If nothing else, I'm going to be going to it repeatedly. That's something that I know I'm not going to have any problem to going to repeatedly, even if I don't feel great about it, because I'm going to feel okay about it because I can talk to my therapist about it afterwards, and she's the one running it, and it's great. And I would just say, I think group therapy is super good for people with anxiety. Again, by itself, it's not going to be a cure or anything, but I think it's an important element of exposure that, along with individual therapy and medication, can help you keep pushing to do the things that let you do what you want to do. Which, the things I want to do, I'm going to be talking about more in a minute. Oh my god, this video is so long. I'm so sorry. But I shouldn't really apologize because that's just what I do, and because, I'm never going to be making YouTube shorts or TikTok clips. I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna film a vertical video. I'm not gonna turn my phone in that direction. But this is a very long video, and I am sorry. But let's get to the point a little bit. So you should try group therapy if you can, if you have AvPD, if you have social anxiety at all. And here's how you can, if you think you can't, if there are no groups in your area. Find an individual therapist that works really well for you first, and plead with them to start a group. And they might do it. It worked for me, and I can't promise it will work for you, but I can tell you, if you have a really good therapist that you really get along with and that really cares about you, the chances are that they like doing groups. And so there are obviously some factors that can make it difficult besides finding people to do it. They're very busy, and like they kind of have a set caseload, and that takes up a lot of their time. My therapist is very busy all the time, and we're doing these on Wednesday evenings, and I mean, I know she's like making time for it, and I really, really, really appreciate it. And not every therapist is going to be able to do that. And also, my therapist works in private practice by herself. And if you have a therapist that works in a, you know, conglomerate organization sort of thing with other therapists or with other treatment providers of some kind, they probably can't just choose to start a group. They probably have to ask people, and people often are obstacles to things like that that can be really helpful. But try that approach. Try finding a really good individual therapist. And as far as finding an individual therapist that's really good, I'm not going to rant about this too long because, oh God, this video is so long. But just don't have patience for people you don't get along with, whether you think it is just that they're cool but they're not a good match, or whether it's that they're acting like they don't have the capacity to help you, or they make you feel guilty and like you're not doing it. Whatever the case is, just don't have any fucking patience for that, because it's not going to help you to have any patience for that. Give up on individual therapists or psychiatrists, which is something I need to figure out really quick when they're being a pain in the ass. But don't give up on yourself. That's the opposite of giving up on yourself. Give up on the shitty treatment provider. And I don't mean to say shitty like that they're a bad person or something. This is not a good fit, whatever the reason is. Give up on them and use that as fuel to keep going and try somebody different. Because hopefully in your neck of the woods there is somebody who will be a good fit for you eventually. And I had to try a whole bunch of people to find my current therapist, but I've been with her over a year now, which is the longest I've been with the therapist by a margin of 4 or something. And she's awesome. And she only, I don't know exactly when she started in private practice, but it hasn't been that long. I think it was after COVID at the earliest. I think it may have been 2023, and I started with her early 2024 after I got out of the hospital. So keep looking, and don't be afraid to give up on everyone but yourself, okay? When it comes to treatment, just don't feel like you're untreatable because one person makes you feel like they can't treat you. That's all I'm saying. Because I don't want to take any more time on the subject. So I'm doing group therapy. My therapist and I were hoping it was going to be once a week. One person sounded like they would work better with twice or once every 2 weeks. So I think we're going to be starting with that and then figuring things out from there. But yeah, and I'm still going to have my individual appointments, and we're going to make a point of, at least while we're getting started, scheduling them right after, like the next day, on the group therapy so I can talk about it. And I expect I'm going to feel most likely relatively neutral about it, but relatively neutral for somebody with AvPD can end up being bad if you don't talk about it. And people really insist on making you feel better about it. That's what you need. And so that's what we're going to do. Other than group therapy, I signed up for an art class. I'm not an artist. I'm never going to be an artist. And when I say an artist, I mean like an art form that involves visual art. I do think writing can be considered an art. I think music and audio design of various sorts can be considered an art. I think game design can be considered an art. I think most things, if you really want to, can be considered an art, because most things people do put passion into things that they care about, which can be anything. But I'm talking about visual art. I'm taking a visual art class. My county offers some at pretty good prices, and one thing that I really liked about them is that they're weekly and they are quite a good term. So some of them are 3-week and some of them are 6-week. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do another 6-week ones, because I need something that's like, okay, I have already paid for this, and it happens every week, which is good frequency. It's not like a book club where it gives me so much time to ruminate about it and decide it definitely couldn't have been worth it, and I definitely don't want to do it again. It's like, it's every week. I do it at the same time every week for 6 weeks. And 6 weeks, you know, it's not something that's forever, where on one hand, I would like to have something that's forever eventually, so that I always have some ongoing exposure. But when you have something that can last forever, as someone with super bad anxiety, it's like, okay, so that also means I can quit whenever I want. And I'm quitting right now because I want to right now. This is 6 weeks. I've already paid for it. I still might quit early. I'm not going to tell you with a straight face that there's absolutely a guarantee that I'm going to go to all of these classes, but I'm trying really hard to. I'm going to talk only briefly about the classes that were available because this video is so long. But in the 6-week classes, there were some painting and drawing classes. I immediately wrote those off because I'm just not good at that. As much as I would absolutely love to be, and it would be so useful to me in game dev to be able to, at least draw my own pixel art, stuff like that, or concept art, whatever the case. I've tried 3D modeling, I've tried drawing, I've tried text, I've tried everything. I'm so bad. That doesn't mean I could never get better, but it comes very non-naturally to me. So I don't want to do that. I wouldn't feel good about taking a class about it. The other classes were more hands-on, 3D, I guess, crafts, I guess as you might call them. So some of the options, there was stained glass, which I decided not to do because it was a little shorter term and also because very involved sounding. And there were things like printing, like making physical prints of stuff. Not really interested in that. So the three that I narrowed it down to that I was interested in were pottery wheel, woodworking, and jewelry making. And I had different pros and cons to all of them. So I've already done woodworking. My dad has a wood shop. I ripped my hand open with a belt sander when I was 8 or something. I'm better at using a belt sander now, but I still don't want to. And this course wouldn't involve using a belt sander, thankfully. It was just going to be like handcrafting hand mirrors or something like that. But yeah, I don't love woodworking. I don't have a passion for it, for sure. I don't love the finished product. I'm not obsessed with handmade things made of wood. That's not to say they can't look very beautiful, but I don't really care that much. And so I was like, okay, and also that class is probably going to be all men. And ideally, I decided I wanted to take a class that'd probably be a pretty good mix of people. And obviously, I don't literally mean all men, but woodworking was the stereotypical option where it was probably going to be more guys, where most of them are probably more likely to be either mixed or more women. And it's like, okay, all I've done my whole life is just talk to dudes because I have so much anxiety about talking to girls or women my age, and I don't want to just do that. So I was like, okay, I don't really want to do woodworking. I thought about pottery wheel, and I felt like that'd be a pretty gender neutral class. And I also, on one hand, I liked the fact that it was like, if you make a mistake with clay, you can just try again. On the other hand, I don't really like that because I'm kind of more of a measure twice, cut once kind of guy. And if I make a mistake and I can just try again, I'm just going to keep trying and I'm going to get more panicked and it's going to really stress me out and I'm going to feel like there's no way I just feel like I'm not ever making any progress just trying again. And I feel like I'd probably give up on that class before it ended. So I was thinking about the jewelry making class and I was like, on one hand, if I make a mistake on something like this, I can't really fix it and that's embarrassing. But on the other hand, I kind of know from experience that while that really stresses me out to not be able to fix my mistakes in a short term, over a longer term, I'm better at accepting that and being like, okay, it is what it is, salvage it. Figure out what you're going to do. And so I was kind of drawn to that. And also, I really like jewelry. I've actually really liked jewelry since I was a little kid. I was obsessed with pirates, like a lot of little boys. But also, I thought it was so cool that their treasure involved all these fancy earrings and necklaces and stuff. And of course, in reality, they were just like looking for medicine and oranges so they didn't die. And also some money because they were robbing people on purpose to make money. But, it wasn't really about any fancy treasures or anything. But as a kid, that was cool. And in fact, I bought my mom some earrings as a little kid for a present one year because I thought they were awesome, and they were a reproduction of something that had been found on a sunken pirate ship. And I thought that was so badass. And I really liked the earrings too. And I was like, I would wear those earrings, but I can't wear earrings, so I'll give them to my mom. My mom didn't really like them, but she was really happy I got them for her. She doesn't wear them. I don't know. I probably wouldn't wear them either. They're like, I don't know. They're bell shaped. They're kind of flat, probably about an inch long. I don't know. They're cute. I don't think they would work on me. But anyway, now, finally, as I'm trying to get more confident and just do the things I want to do and be like, all right, you know what? I don't really give a shit about gender stereotypes. Just gonna be me. You know, I'm a straight guy and I like wearing jewelry, and there are lots of straight guys that like wearing jewelry, and I've been weird about it my whole life because anxiety. Like, you know, I've been weird about just literally wearing different colors and things like that. And it's just getting over it, and I love this thing. And my mom's like, did you really shop for them? Don't you think you could have picked one that was a little more manly? And I'm like, actually, no, I really did. And I really like this one. And I don't really care if you think it looks girly. But I do really like jewelry, as it turns out. And this is the only piece of jewelry I own. But, yeah. And I was like, okay, I think I want to do the jewelry making class. I did feel kind of weird about it because, yeah, it's probably going to be mostly women. And one of my big qualms with that is that just like I don't want to be the one dude in there that makes people feel uncomfortable. And that's a lot of the reason stuff like, you know, yoga classes, that it's like, that sounds kind of easy, kind of chill, just be around other people. And that's the kind of thing that sounds kind of nice to me. But at the same time, I know that the vast majority of people in there are going to be women, and I don't want to make people uncomfortable. And I know it's not guaranteed that I will. And I feel better about it than I used to. Obviously, like, starting middle school, I felt like a huge creep anytime I made eye contact with a girl, and I'm better about that now. But yeah, still have some misgivings about it. But you know, I'm like, it's a fucking jewelry making class, man. It's not yoga, okay? It is different. You know, with what people are wearing and how they're sitting and what they're focusing on, and it's very different. And I'm like, okay, I can do it. I'm not gonna feel weird about it. And then I started feeling weird about it anyway. And so registration for these classes opened on February 1st. And I wasn't sure, they start in March, and I wasn't sure I was even gonna have enough money to be able to do it. But the day the registration opened, I was like, okay, I guess it's time I really make a decision here. And then I was starting to have misgivings, and I was like, okay, maybe I should just do one of the other ones other than the jewelry making class. And I went on there. This was the first day registration had opened. It was about midnight after the day had passed. And most of the classes were already full. The woodworking class and the pottery wheel class were already full. And the registration was only open for county residents at that point. And theoretically, people who aren't in the county are allowed to register starting 2 days later. And I was like, that's not a big difference. But apparently that's a big enough difference that most of the classes fill up immediately before anyone outside the county is allowed to register for them. So I was like, damn. Okay, well, the jewelry making class is the only one that still has any openings. I guess I better make a decision here. So I decided to sign up for it. I'm going to do it. So it starts in March. It's going to be a while. But we'll see. So I signed up for it, and it is full now. We're almost done with the video now. One other thing I'm thinking about trying. I want to participate in a casual hiking group with people around my age. That doesn't really exist. In part because, I don't know, it's a lot of things don't exist, you know? And it's just like, especially in my area, there aren't a ton of places to hike. There are some really nice places, but there are not a ton of different places. And it's not, you know, like there are amazing hiking trails for people who do hiking, you know, as a hobby and do extremely long hikes or extremely intense hikes or whatever. It's more chill stuff. But to me, that's the point, is because I want to just socialize with people. But it's harder to sell people the way our society works and expects things to happen. It's harder to sell people on, hey, I just want to meet people. And I'm kind of a socially anxious person, and I don't want you to expect too much of me. But anyway, let's just meet and let's just talk and let's just be in somewhere in public. And the whole point is we're just talking. And it can be kind of awkward. And I don't know how many people would be interested, but yeah, it's kind of awkward because it's like, I don't know, things where you're doing something, it's easier. And the thing is, hiking is, you're doing something, but it's the least something. It's kind of the least something there is, because you're moving and there's different scenery, and otherwise, assuming that it's a chill hike, which is the point here, that you're not really doing anything. So you have plenty of time to talk to people, so people implicitly understand that it's supposed to be a very social thing. There's nothing getting in the way of talking to people, and it will be weird if you don't. So that's the point. That it doesn't really exist when around my area. I'm thinking about trying to start one. I don't know if it'll happen. I imagine I could do it. It's like, can I make myself feel good about it? Because it's hard. But I'm gonna stop talking about that there. The last thing I just wanted to mention is, because I was talking about accepting that I'm gonna have an atypical adulthood, and that's something I've been thinking about a lot, and I guess for a long time, but I'm just, I guess, being more real about it and more accepting of it. And I'm always going to have AvPD. I'm always going to have really bad social anxiety. There are going to be certain things that I really don't want to do. There are a lot of things that I am going to want to do that I didn't appreciate that I would want to do before I realized I had AvPD and figured all of that out. But I figured that out now, and now the point is, what do I need to be able to do in order to do the things that I want to be able to do? And so I was talking about it in the context of being able to run errands, like going in the grocery store. Because, what I've realized for me is that I'm probably never going to work a normal job. I might. I'm not going to say I definitely won't. But I have a hard time believing I could be at all happy doing that. And I know a lot of people that do work regular jobs are probably looking at me like, yeah, that's not the point, bro. And I understand that. And obviously, I'm fortunate in very many ways that I have opportunities to make something other than typical employment happen. But I do have those opportunities, and those opportunities, I think, thankfully, are becoming more common these days with the internet, and I think probably I'm going to always end up doing creative stuff as my main source of income and productivity, period. I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, because I write, I do game dev, I like music. That's never going to be the job thing, but I did make those monster sound effects and stuff like that, and I do enjoy audio artistry, I guess. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing, but I think it's going to be like that, and I think I'm going to have to accept that, and I've kind of been accepting that. But the other thing I've been working on accepting is like accepting both that that's okay and that other people I am going to find people that are okay with me being that kind of person, and don't think less of me and don't think I'm lazy, because I do work hard. I'm capable of working hard, both physically, even if I don't enjoy it, and mentally. I spend a lot of time and a lot of effort on a lot of things, and I'm not a lazy person, and I want to stop thinking of myself in that way, and I want to find people that don't think of me in that way, and I think that there are people. And really what I want other than that is to just feel like I can be a useful person to the people around me. That's what I was talking about with errands. Just being able to do everything short of, because employment is so hard because it's long term and you have to keep doing it, and it is so hard not to give up for anybody with a lot of jobs and a lot of, situations. But especially when you have extremely bad anxiety, and that anxiety causes a lot of depression, and you probably have some depression anyway, and it's just really, really hard. And so I'm going to try to do everything short of that. Long-term things that involve me being in public and interacting with a bunch of people who I don't really get to choose, even if they're cool. Just not my people, they're my coworkers, whatever. That's always going to be something that feels a little bit out of reach, I believe. But I want to be able to do everything short of that. I want to be able to do errands with people. I want to be able to go do things in public with people that they want to do, one-time things. I want to be able to travel with someone if they want to do that, just stuff like that. And really, what I've been coming to terms with is I kind of want to be a homemaker, and that's something I feel really weird admitting, especially as a guy. I've always had a lot of pressure. I'm supposed to be a doctor, is what my dad's always told me. Make a ton of money and have a family, but more or less don't actually participate in it. That's not the life I want. And aside from my anxiety, it wouldn't be the life I want. But especially with my anxiety, I think I really want to have close relationships with people, and I really want to have one especially close relationship with one person. And I want to follow their lead, and let them focus on whatever it is they want to do with their life and be there for them and be able to do everything else for them so that they can focus on that, which includes doing errands. And, I have no problem cleaning house and cooking meals and stuff like that. I like those things. The big obstacle to me feeling confident about that kind of life was especially, it's like, I can't do errands. I can't make phone calls for people. I don't feel helpful. I don't feel like I can really be useful. And with my new meds, especially, I feel so much better about my ability to do anything short term like that. When I need to do it, I can get it done. It doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy it, but I can get it done. And it does mean that I can feel useful about it and feel appreciated for it. And I really want to focus on being there for somebody else and having an emotional connection with them and mutually supporting each other and stuff like that. That's what I want my life to look like someday. And it's hard to say that out loud. I feel ashamed about it. I feel like, a lazy person or not a good man or whatever. But also, I don't care. I don't need to care about that, because I know I can be the right person for somebody and have the life I want and feel genuinely useful and productive, both for them and in my own creative ways that are just not work a typical job just to say I did, And again, I know I'm really fortunate to be able to. I have had so many opportunities to work on so many things because I have a lot of financial help. A lot of people don't have, and I don't take that for granted at all. But I'm going to make the most of it, and I think everyone should be able to do that. I think it's a shame that our society works in a way that many people don't have options like that. But yeah, that is the end of this video. It's 80 minutes long. I am tired. And I was trying to record 2 other videos that are more informational and less rambly and talk about phenolzine. I'm gonna need a break before I do that, but then I'm gonna do it. I hope you got something out of this, listening to my voice for 80 minutes. I hope you got a good look at my jewelry because I really like it. Also, I'm wearing some purple corduroy pants now, and they're awesome. And I got some new shoes, and they're awesome. And I'm trying really hard to express myself, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm gonna stop the video now, though. But yeah, I apologize it's so long. These next 2 videos are gonna be informational, to the point, short. Not that you'll be hearing that if you're the type of person that cares about that, because we're 80 minutes in. But yeah, and then the next update video, I don't know. I'm not gonna make any promises at all. And I know I've been saying that, but I'm gonna continue to say it because on one hand I feel like, oh, I should be more active online. I know people are interested in how I'm doing and care about me, and I really appreciate that. But at the same time, you know, life goes on, and both as a matter of, it takes a lot of energy to start the video. Now that I've been rambling for so long, it was actually very easy. I actually really enjoy talking. It's crazy. But there's that. But also it's just like, yeah, like my life has been so busy, and also I've done like nothing. I've gone to Kroger. Like that's the biggest accomplishment I've had. And releasing a sound effect pack, I guess. But like, it's not a lot to talk about, and yet it took 80 minutes because I'm going through all the thought processes and stuff. And so yeah, I hope I said something of value in this time, and that is why I will hopefully continue to make them, is because I know some people get something out of when I do this crazy shit. Although I think my longest video before this was about half as long as this, so no, there was one early on that was an hour long, but still, this is insane. But I never shut up, do I? Anyway, yeah. Maybe I have more things to say than I think I do. And maybe making videos more frequently would mean that I don't end up with 80-minute train wrecks, but at the same time, I felt like I had to wait this long. On one hand, I was waiting because I wanted my phenolzine videos to be as complete as possible, and I've gotten to the point where I feel like I'm not an expert, but I am my own expert, and therefore I have what I need to talk about that in detail. And that's mostly what I was waiting for, but at the same time, I didn't feel like I had a lot to talk about here, and maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe if I didn't have all of this stuff together, it would have ended up being like 5 minutes of nothing, and I don't know. This is just, it's gonna be whatever it's gonna be. But I'm only gonna be able to make videos when I feel like something really crazy has happened. And like, am I gonna immediately make a video to tell you guys how the book club went? No. If it was a couple years ago, I would have done that. And I would have felt better about it because, you know, just the place I was at mentally and things going worse, I had more things to talk about with it, I guess. And also, like, there were things I hadn't said before, and now I've said them before, and it's like, you can go watch all those other videos. And I don't want to repeat the same things, even if the same things happen. I do anyway, but you know what I mean, to some extent. Am I going to immediately tell you about the group therapy? No, probably not. If I make like an absolute bestie in it or something, then maybe. Probably then I would still just make a community post or something. You know how I am. Or maybe you don't. I don't do that a lot, but anyway. Art class is going to start in March. It's going to end in like mid to late April. So maybe that would be the soonest I'd probably end up making a new video. Hiking group may or may not actually happen. And as far as like my long-term life goals, nope, probably not going to make any mystical progress. That's the thing. There's going to be a lot of head smashing for me going forward, and this is just life with AvPD, you know? It's like, I absolutely have to push myself to keep doing all this shit that even normal people kind of avoid and don't really want to do, because I don't already have friends and groups and stuff, and I need them. And I might make them instantly, and it might take forever. And either way, it's like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't, as far as you guys are concerned, like, yes, you might be interested in how things are going for me, but as far as like, it doesn't have any tangible impact on what I can tell you as far as like advice or insights or anything, because it's just like, it's totally random. I could go to this book club tomorrow and meet my future wife, okay? But probably not. I could probably do all of this stuff I have planned and keep planning more stuff for the next 2 years and not meet somebody that awesome. Maybe make a couple of friends, maybe not make any friends. There's absolutely no predicting it. It's totally random. It doesn't have to take forever, and it doesn't have to happen instantly. It's completely random. You guys already know that, and I don't need to be ranting about this when I said I was going to end the video 6 minutes ago. But that's kind of the point, is that this is where my life is at, and there's probably going to come a point, there could come a point where I give up. There could come a point where I just say I'm continuing to try with more or less the same things. Here are the different activities. Here's some things about the people I've met. Nothing's really working yet, but I'm still going. Or I could, really meet people I care about, fulfill my life goals, finish projects. And it's like, I want to tell you guys about that, but also it's not like insightful, It's just, it is what it is. It doesn't magically change anything for you guys. Life is so fucking random. And so on one hand, it's like, yeah, I feel like in a lot of ways, I've said my piece on AvPD. And now I'm crossing my fingers that my life is going to turn out more or less the way I want it to, being the guy that I am with AvPD. I'll probably think of something more to say eventually, but that is why, at least at first, it was like, yeah, we're doing these videos like once, twice a week. And I've said a lot, and I've learned a lot, but at the end of the day, I'm getting to the point where I'm out of insights on that in particular. Who knows, maybe I will post more on my on other channels. Right now, like, I have the music channel. I'm thinking about doing some semi-ironic Valentine's Day covers live, which is to say recording like 3 songs at a time or something. No promises. I might do more random stuff like that. I might share more songs I write if I can be bothered to produce them. Sometime I might like start a different kind of social media page where I can just share all the random projects I'm working on, like monster sound effects, and because most of you guys don't really care about that, but then if you do. But at the same time, I'm like, what's really important to me is real life stuff and focusing on that. And it's so easy to get caught up on the internet and act like that is life, and act like everything you're doing in life has more importance if you share it on the internet. And on one hand, I get a lot from other people sharing their lives and stuff, people that I like and people that I care about and people that I think are cool. But on the other hand, I don't get everything. It's not real fulfillment. It's an addendum. It's like, it should be used as the ability to explore and understand people that you don't have the opportunity to meet in real life. But the real life part is still kind of what's really important. So I can't speak to what I'm going to be doing on the internet. That's kind of all I'm saying. But there will be another video here eventually, unless I ever make a farewell video, in which case you'll know. I'm going to stop now. There are 2 videos about phenelzine coming up. If you're interested in trying this medication, if you have treatment-resistant anxiety, I wholeheartedly recommend it. And I would say that there's so many things about it that are misunderstood, and you may have a hard time getting it prescribed. And there are some things about it that are seen as dangerous that are really not dangerous. And at the same time, it does have a lot of side effects. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in the next 2 videos that I'm making like right now. I'm going to post them all at the same time. It's crazy. Okay, we're stopping before this reaches the hour and a half mark. Goodbye.